dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark.
Okay, we're live. Everyone say hello to yourselves in the video.
Hello.
Alright. Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna see is that you're gonna get sent this folder, which is Remix Resources, and it's got Rolling in the Deep. And I've very kindly put the BPM, the original BPM, on it for you. So that is, if you open a new project and you put it to 105 BPM and you drop that file in, it will work.
Oh shit, we're actually doing Rolling in the Deep.
We are.
That's like the best ones you've ever done.
All right. So let's get rid of it. I will play you this in a bit, but
Is that one you already made earlier?
well,
It's like
Here's one I made earlier.
generally what I do is I ended up making my half term upstairs, and then last night I was like, right, I better just check that it's all working, and I ended up making another one. I didn't mean to, but I did. So I will show you that, and I'll show you the process for that. Yeah. When you have that moment, and you have that inspiration take you, you've just got to do it in here. So you're going to get that. Okay, so you literally highlight it and right click or control click, and you can download it. So that's going to download. It says.
How do you record?
How do you record?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
How do you do the recording thing?
I've got an app for it. There's
Use
an app for that.
QuickTime, though.
Yeah. So I'm going to do new project.
Does it record the screen?
Mhm. Start with an audio track. Let's do this because we've got the VGA type screen. Change the tempo first, 105, and then go and grab your file, which will be in your downloads. Drag it in. Here's helpful tip number 1. Do not start at bar 1. Okay? Always start later, because you might decide that you want to change some stuff at the beginning. If you start at, say, bar 5, it means if you have to grab everything, it's much easier to do. Yeah? And then you've got that space at the beginning to move stuff. Ultimately, you all know that you use the cycle tool to bounce. So it doesn't matter if your project doesn't start at bar 1, because you're going to set the bounce point for it. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, so that's in. See a little bit.
If
Okay.
you put it at bar 1, can you still drag it?
You can, but it just if you ask any producer where do you start your projects, I guarantee you they won't say bar 1. Guarantee you. In fact, I'm gonna go mad. I'm gonna start at bar 9. So whew, there's a bar of, I think it's just count actually. You might even be able to hear the click on the original. So the actual vocal starts at bar 9, as you can see on the fuzzy screen.
Is that the raw vocal?
Sorry,
Is that the raw vocal?
this is just the acapella. So it is
Mixed.
mixed with BVs and reverb. So it's they've just taken all the instruments away.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal.
Okay, so that's working. We know it's working to the click. Okay, so very first thing we're going to do is we
You're
are
doing
going
a
to
house one.
we're going to save it. Okay, you need to get used to this. When you guys are in the Mac suites, you're going to have to save locally while you're working on it. It means saving on the computer you're on, and at the end of the session, save it all to the server. And the reason you have to do it that way is because some of the audio tricks will not work across the network. So as long as you do all the work locally on the computer and then save it to the server, you then bring it onto another Mac another time and then save it to that Mac, and you just end up doing a bit of a toing and froing. Does that make sense? If you've got hard drives, you can bring those, but and you can save to those, but put a backup somewhere. Yeah. Otherwise, there's nothing worse than losing all your work off a broken hard drive. Right. So I'm going to save this. I've got an HCM folder, I think. There it is. This will be Adele Remix Idea 2. The other thing which I think we talked about the other day, yeah, you're right, sorry. Logic X tries to organise your projects as packages as its kind of default. Don't do that, because if you're doing a song that you're going to send to other people, if you give them all the folders, it gives them all of the little bits separately. Whereas if you give them a package, it's all connected and it's difficult to then open that. So do it as folders. Make sure that your audio files are being copied and your EXS instruments and samples. So any stuff that you use that's not on someone else's computer, it brings it with it. Does that make sense? Okay, so save that.
Not the rest?
Don't need it. It's like movie files and ultra beat things, which we don't need to worry about. Okay, so that's in. The next step is we need to turn on the flex. The flex.
Wait, I'm watching.
Yeah.
What that allows us to do is then change the tempo. If we change the tempo without turning the flex time on, that a cappella won't know what to do. Okay, so with that highlighted, if you go down to this second drop down here, there's a thing at the bottom here which is called flex. And there's lots of different modes. I would recommend for doing a vocal like this, doing polyphonic, so flex time polyphonic, and then hopefully there's a complex tick box which will tick as well. So if we listen to that now, it won't sound any different because I'm changing the tempo.
There's a fire.
Then if I change the tempo, let's go mad. It will follow the tempo.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, is bringing me out the dark.
Too fast for house. Okay.
This is so cool.
Okay, so let's say 125. I quite like 125. So at 125, it should sound like this.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, is bringing me out the dark.
Okay. What I would probably do next with its house is just put the kick drum in. The kick drum has to be, as Morgan's doing, fall to the floor. Yeah, that'll kind of give you an idea of the kind of pace of the song. I wouldn't necessarily put all the drums in to start with, but I would put that in, which would then allow me to put some harmonic stuff in, some chord stuff. So I'll find that, so plus, then we're going softer instruments. There's a chance that some of the sounds I've got on here are different to what you guys have got, but it's the same process. Scroll back so you've got drum kits or drum machines, and then let's find, I quite like the kick on the vintage machine.
The kick is just the metronome.
Kick is the metronome, yeah. It's just crotchets, yeah. If you find, could you hear that it's got a little bit of afters on that? If you don't like that, like me, this is what I don't like about Logic X part of it. If you go up here onto this little dial icon, that is the kind of that's the drum machine, and there's a thing down here where you've got levels for the actual instruments, but then you've got effects levels as well. Just zero all of those because we want to be able to put our own effects on. So we'll take that off. So now it's just straight, yeah. And then I'm just going to put, again, don't do 16 bars of kick drum, just do 1 bar or 2 bars.
There's a fire starting.
That's all you need, yeah? Once you've done that, we're going to quantize it. That can be quantized to quarter notes, because it's just 4. And then to start with, just loop it, just L, loop, okay? And then that's in. Take the click off now.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, is bringing me out the dark. Finally,
Okay, that's in. Save. Command
Remix
S.
complete.
Remix complete, yeah. Okay, next I'm going to start looking at some chords, okay? For me, as a keyboard player, and this will be different for all of you, I usually start with an electric piano because I can hear stuff and then I might move it to a synth sound, okay? But if you like the sound of using a piano, like if you want to do kind of piano house, then using one of the acoustic piano sounds might be quite nice. If you want to use a simply thing, use that. There's no right or wrong way here, but what I'm saying is that when you're working out this stuff, you need to muck around with it first, see what you can find. Okay, so new channel, software instrument. I've got my own nice Rhodes, so I'm going to use that one. It probably won't stay in the track, to be fair. The key is in C, but C minor. Okay. I think on the original it's going. So it's that kind of thing. So it's C, might have B, C, G. So it's all around chords that we know. It's 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7 that were in minor. So it's like they kind of switch around. So where we would have a major chord on 1, 4, and 5, which is what we've been talking about for the last 5 weeks probably. This time we've got a minor chord 1 and a minor chord 4 and a major chord 6 and a major chord 7. But you'll find your way around that. Okay.
Is 5 minor too?
No, it depends which. Yeah, yes, it is if you're talking natural minor, but you can play it as a kind of dominant 7 as well. It gives it quite a that kind of thing. So you can just stay with the harmony if you want to.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your ship bare.
I will lay your shit there, just saying. You can change the chords, yeah? If you know you're in C minor, where else could we start? What are the other options?
Pitch shift.
We could pitch shift her, but if we wanted to use the same chords, so let's say that, let me write it on the board actually. The chords that we're allowed to use for the moment are,
I think it's only 5 minutes.
we're allowed to use all of those. C is the strongest. Someone give me a random order.
F minor.
Alright, F minor to start with.
Let's be really fucking weird. Then goes to B flat.
E flat.
Then goes to the
E
G.
flat.
G, then what?
E flat, A flat, C minor.
In the same bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just 'cause that was shit. Go on, pull it off, Mark.
That's alright, the last bit might be changed. But you just kind of go, right, they're the chords I'm allowed to use, but let's try them in a different order. Right, so for instance.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your ship bare. There's a
So you can muck around with it, okay? What's going to make it
Hang on a minute. Let me write these chords down in my muso book.
nice? Okay, I'll leave that up actually until the end of the session. The other option is you could go, oh, it's C minor. What's the relative major of C minor? Can anyone work that out?
Give us a jiffy.
D, F sharp.
No. What do we do if we're going to go from a minor to get the relative major? How many steps do we move up?
To 3.
It's 3 semitones.
Well, it's just D, E flat.
E flat. Okay, so you could be going. It sounds really twee. Probably not.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally,
It's a bit Savage Garden,
How do
isn't
you,
it?
how do you find the rest of the? Is it all of them plus 3 semitones?
To find all these.
No, to find. So you have the first chord, which is E flat.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find the rest?
That I was just playing 1 5 4 5. So think about
the
E
scale
flat.
of E flat?
Yeah,
Okay.
because E flat and C minor, C natural minor are the same scale, just starting in a different place. Yeah. So they're all chords that are in there. E flat, A flat, and B flat are there in the chords in C minor that we're allowed to use. Yeah. If you want to get a bit more funky, which I know I want to because it's the kind of house I like, bring in your sevens, minor sevens, major sevens, minor nines. That's how you start to get a bit more interesting. So even if I went for the original chord sequence and put sevens in.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare.
That's 1 5 4 5, but they're all minor sevens.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
Same thing, minor nines.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare.
So I'm just mucking about now with the different chords.
That last chord sounded like the chord.
Yeah, it is. It is that. It's one of those slash chords, like an A flat, B flat.
Hey.
It is that. It's the same kind of chord. Start adding rhythm to those chords. So I was playing them static to start with, but if you start putting stuff in that's moving.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. There's a fire starting in my heart.
Yeah.
I could get on into that.
You don't have to play it in. So if you don't like playing keyboards, play all the stuff in statically or write it and then cut it up. Yeah, and you can do it that way. So you don't have to do it. You don't have to be, really good at keyboard to do this. You can do it in loads of different ways. I'm going to put that in.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark.
Again, just take the 4 bars. I am going to quantize it, but you might then take it out. 16ths with what? How was I playing it? Had a kind of swing to it. So probably a C or a D.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. There's a fire starting in.
Sorry?
What does that mean? Swing D, swing C?
It gives it more of a bounce to it. So rather than going semitones being semi-quavers being it goes.
No, I know, but what's the difference between C, D?
More swing. So A's going, B's going, C's going, D's going, and E's going like that. So it's more. It changes the distance between those semi-quavers. Yeah.
Can't you use the
Oh yeah, no, that's all good.
does it, if you go on the quantize?
Yeah. You can use Q swing, doing a similar kind of thing.
Quantize
Here.
when you go up, it says triplets.
Yeah, but these aren't quite triplets. Yeah, so you get a slightly different feel to it. By all means, try some of the triplet stuff as well. Right, so I'm going to loop that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to skip forward to the biggest bit of the song, which is obviously
The outro. The chorus.
the chorus. Thank you, because we're in a pop song. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun.
Go on, geez.
Quite like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the biggest part of the song, and I'm going to build it up as much as possible so that I can then break it down for the other bits. Okay, house music is repetitive. Okay, it should sound pretty much the same all the way through, and you just start layering stuff. So in terms of texture, it's the layers which then build into those kind of crescendos or into that kind of dynamic shifts.
Another one.
Feeling we could have had it all with you.
Okay, that's in. Quantize as you go. I'm just going to keep.
Some mad soft bass in there.
I'm going to.
It's just doesn't even come out like.
I'm just going to keep duplicating sounds here, and I'm going to keep adding little percussive elements.
Feeling we could have had it all. You have my heart inside.
That was really sloppy. Did you hear that?
What are you doing, Mark? Sort that.
Doesn't matter because I'm going to quantize it.
Goddamn contact. Seems like he's playing with a hi-hat.
You have my heart inside. You have my heart inside.
Okay, and then we can start looking at that sound. Quite like this old school snare drum.
Feeling we could have had it all.
Can't hear it?
You have my heart inside. You have my heart inside.
Right, that one I'm not going to quantize.
Oh, you.
Why?
Big dog.
Because everything else is in time. Claps, generally, if you're thinking old school, it was guys or girls in a room all clapping together to mic, so they would be slightly out of time. They wouldn't be like precise. So you can get a bit of that old school kind of thing. Now, what I haven't done, and I should do now because I've got lots of layers, is start naming everything because I can't remember what's what. So solo, right? That's kick. So double click on the name. Open hat. Swung hats, snare, probably end up being snare 1 for my name. That's what I do, isn't it? Put some reverb on the claps. You can afford, when you've got a big arrangement like this, you can afford to put more reverb on than you think. In isolation, it's going to sound really like too wet and too much, but in the mix, it will bed in nicely. Yeah.
You have my heart inside. You have my heart inside.
Okay. So what's it missing?
Baseline.
Baseline.
Dirty baseline.
Dirty bass line. We've ended up in a kind of disco house kind of thing, so I might not go too dirty. I might go something that's got that 80s electro kind of vibe to it. Okay, so another software instrument. Start with sounds that are in the box. So you can look in the synths. Wrong one. But you know, be prepared to mould stuff into what you want, and be prepared to layer as well. Like, you know, if one bass that we choose doesn't have enough sub to it, copy the information to another track that's just sub. So you've got two basses that make up two different things that make up the bass. Bass destroyer, is that what you're looking for? What does that sound like? Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's just horrible.
One called After Hours Pumper.
After Hours Pumper. Oh, I want synth bass, don't I?
I think it's the top one.
After Hours Pumper. I could use that, right? I could use that, but I'm going to take off the tape delay, and I'm going to take off these buses. That Logic X likes to give you reverbs already. I don't like that, so just take them out. flanger in that pedal board as well, or a phase.
Where'd you find that?
Where did I find what?
The flanger?
It was a phaser on the pedal board. So this bit here, the guitar pedal board. I'll just turn
You
it
don't
off.
need to buy all those pedals.
No, not anymore. Coming from then.
I love it.
I'll just turn that off. Didn't like that. Something like that.
We could have had it
I doubled up. Hold on. I'm going to leave that looping for longer so I can get more of a live feel on the bass line.
we could have had it
Yeah? So what we can start to do now is
Let's go.
okay, right, let's bring everything back to the beginning. Okay, now at the moment this is tricky to work with because it's all loops. Okay, so this is the next bit that's going to help everybody. Highlight everything that's a loop, edit, convert loops to regions. Okay,
Oh, no,
and now we can sculpt out the bits we don't want. Okay, so now I go, right, I'm at the beginning, I don't want the bass line. Let's change that to bass.
So edit, what?
Edit, convert loops to regions. So if you've highlighted all of your loops, it turns them to real copies basically. So right, I don't want the swung hats, I don't want the open hats to begin with, and I'm just going to start mucking about. If you don't want to make decisions straight away, mute them. Yeah, so you don't delete them, you just mute regions.
I can't do that on Project 7. Whenever I press M, it just mutes the channel.
I think it's Control M or Command M on that one. I've put the old shortcuts on mine, so because I'm so used to running 9.
How much is Logic X?
150, but only on Mac. I don't want the bass line. I'm going to take that out. Don't think I want the snare to start with either. Let's see what we've got.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, just bringing me out the dark. Finally,
feel for what you want to be doing.
How do you mute everything?
I just soloed the vocal, so that's me going. Oh, it might be quite nice if we do that. So now that everything is separated, so I want to cut everything just after 1, so I hear the chord. I'm going to lose that, and that's going to be our.
The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all.
Okay, so now I know that. Okay, I've got that. I've got that thing happening on the kind of pre-chorus now. So the chorus needs more stuff in it. Okay, so standard for me, if I'm going for this kind of funky house thing, is we need a high string line that just goes like that. It just holds a note, yeah. Or I could sample myself doing that noise. So look for a string. You could go, rather than selecting one from here, you could go straight to, which one do I usually use? On ESE, Ensemble Synth. So rather than going with the bog standard kind of things that are in Logic, start looking at some of the plugins. Just go straight to them and see what you can find. So if you type in ESE stereo, it looks like that. It's quite old school. But what I want is an old. I just want one note actually, and I think I'll put a little bit of movement on it, a bit of ensemble. And if you want, the cut off is here, so you can make it more tinny if you need to. Obviously, you can automate all that stuff as well. I might even go proper Cool and the Gang style.
Already here, let's take it up another couple.
Feeling we could have had it You have my heart played it to the beat.
All right.
It's quite loud.
The sound's quite loud. Yeah.
Only dogs can hear it.
I mean, that, to be honest, that could be quarter notes or even whole notes because I'm just hitting on the one. When you're holding long notes like that on that particular sound, if you play from in the middle of that, you won't hear the note. It has to trigger it because it's like a MIDI thing. So if you don't hear the beginning of that, you won't hear it in the mix. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah. So the other thing we could do potentially is if we make a new software instrument underneath that Rhodes and we copy the information over, we could have an acoustic piano thing on there. Let's have a look at the Yamaha one. If you want to make a more... Don't you dare crash.
Did you save it, Mark?
Have now. There we go. If you want to make a really electronic sounding piano sound, a bit like the kind of M1 house piano things, this is what the piano sounds like normally. Oops. But if you want to make that sound really, really digital, go into the EXS24, which is the instrument itself. Bring the release down, so there's no, it doesn't hold on to any notes, and then potentially you could bring the decay down as well. So it sounds really electronic. So when we put those together. Must be a new Logic X thing then, because that wouldn't have worked before. What's that high string?
It wouldn't have worked before.
No, not to solo it and then it just plays straight away. Wouldn't do it in Logic 9. So another thing that I might do mix-wise is I'm going to duplicate the Rhodes sound, and I'm going to have a version of that which is EQ'd. Don't want to copy it, I want it to replace it. So go to the EQ and I'm going to take out all the highs. So it's going to be this kind of middly sound.
There's a fire. And sell me out and I'll lay your shit, babe. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind.
Yeah, I could do that with the bass as well. So if I do a similar thing with the bass, take all the tops out, so you still have the nice bassy sound, but you lose all that bang, bang, all that kind of sound.
Of us, they keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. Underneath the tears, you had my heart and you played it to the beat. Baby, I have no story to be told, but I've heard one on you and I'm gonna make your head burn. Think of me in the depths of your despair. Making home down there is mine, sure won't be shared. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling.
Okay. Ask questions because I'm going. I'm feeling it now. I'm just going off on one.
Did you take all the drum kit things from the same software instrument?
A lot of these ones are, yeah,
Like vintage machines?
yeah. I like the vintage one. It's quite
Just
nice.
separate it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a really good question. You know, in DAW, it was all about doing beats pretty much at the same time. Do everything separately on this. Every single drum should be on a separate channel because then you've got much more independent control of every sound.
How do you do it?
Just by doing it on a new channel. So kicks on that channel, then you can duplicate the sound here or just do a new channel. Hats are on a different one. Yeah, so everything is separated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if I can also have a little. I want to show you how to do the pumping synth thing as well. I think you know how to do this already, and maybe you, but I will show you how to do that. So if we find, yeah, side chaining. If we find a nice synthy sound, so I can play the chords on it. Could do a pad, can I? Yeah. I don't want it to do much. A lot of these are already got too much stuff going on in them. Shoulder of Orion. Where's soft analog? Really nice, actually. I like that. I'll take the stereo delay off for the moment. It's all about Toto today.
What, can you play that?
Probably.
Nah, that sounds like Warriors. PS2 game.
Seen the film?
What was that? So we're going to be doing this in the band, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, let me just put these chords.
Feeling we could have had it all. You had my heart. Feeling we could have had it all. You had my heart. Played it to the beat.
All right.
It's 2 seconds.
Just changing the release point on this one. Okay, so we're going to show you how to do a side chaining thing. So I'm going to copy the kick drum, and I'm just going to take one of them. I'm going to loop it forever, and then I'm going to send it to a bus. I'm going to send it to. Let's leave it on 16 actually. Yeah, bus. Bus is where you group it. Bus is where you group it. Okay.
That's a bit.
Well, you group it, not grow.
Although, hold on. Yeah, here we go. So let's put it onto 18. Yes. So, right, this is how you get away with this, okay? This is going to be the side chain. Stick it right to the top of the arrangement. Thank you. You send it to a bus and you mute the bus so you don't hear it in the mix, okay?
No bus.
You then go to the sound that you've made, soft analog pad, and you open a compressor. I've got the old-fashioned looking compressors, but they work the same way. And then you basically bring your attack and release down, you bring your ratio all the way up, and you bring your threshold down, and then you side chain it. So I went to, oh god, I can't remember where I put it to. Hold on. 18 is the one I need for the actual output. So bus 18, and then what you'll start to see is that this this compressor will react to the kick drum. So you'll see the compressor going like this with the kick.
There's a fire starting in my heart.
So in the mix, when we get to it, you should hear it starting to pump a little bit. If I
Pump it.
so if I show it. Yeah, it's getting taken away with the kick drum. So on the compressor, ratio pretty high, threshold brought down, attack and release down, and then make sure you side chain it to the bus. So in stuff in there. So I'm just trying stuff on the little drop now.
Have you heard the really annoying remix of this? Like they say it in the club all the time. It literally drops and then it goes, we could have had it. Oh, 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 oh.
We can make one of those. That's fine.
Rolling
The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. In the deep, you had my heart and you played it to the beat. Could have had it all. In the deep, you had my heart inside of your hand, but you played it with a beating. Throw your soul through beating. Throw your soul through every open door. Count your blessings.
Starting to sound full now, isn't it?
It's weird.
I saw a tutorial on YouTube. You can do the pumping thing with a tremolo.
Yeah, you're right. You can do it with a tremolo. Do me a favour, Andrew. Can you just plug that in that plug down here on that 4-way? So let's talk about some of the stuff that you have to have in your remix. So
Pitch.
Why do you use the
why? It's just a layer I like.
Because I noticed the other day, there's no downtime.
You still
I
listen
don't know
to
if I
it?
do.
I listen to that time.
Right? There's in the back, if you listen to it, there's like tires screeching.
Okay.
Like it's like goes forward, then it goes back. It's like
You think it sounds like that?
but that's what it just reminded me of. And I just don't know why I did it. Like you can hear it, and it just comes out at random moments.
It's just a little texture, isn't it? It's just something to kind of pique your interest. There's a really nice soul track by Glenn Lewis called Don't You Forget It, and that's got really weird little sound effects in it, which you're like, why is that there? But it's just a little point of interest. Okay, so we have changed the tempo. We've done that. It's the first thing we did, so that counts. Okay. Technically, we've time stretched as well, or time compressed in this case, because we've made the whole thing 125 rather than 105. So we've ticked both of those in one go. Okay.
Bang.
Pitch shifting.
Bang, bang.
You're going to have to be. You're going to have to be a bit more. I don't know. You have to be creative with that because you don't really want to pitch shift this. Certainly, what I've done isn't going to work to pitch shift it down an octave or anything. But you might, like Morgan said right at the beginning, you might want to pitch shift the vocal to start with. In which case, you've ticked the boxes. Okay. So the way you would do that is you would go audio effects, pitch shifter. Put it to 100%, and then you would move it down, and that's your semitone. So if we listen to that now.
To find what you look for, turn my sorrow into treasure gold. You pay me back in kind and reap just what you sow.
So if we like that, everything else is MIDI. So why don't I go to bass? Let's turn down everything that's audio, that's harmonic. Let's shift it down. See if we can do that. Transpose by -2, and it should all work together.
Starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch that's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your shit bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all.
Okay, so that's done. We've ticked that one off as
I
well.
like that.
That's 3 of the boxes ticked. All we've got to do now is we'll find a little bit that we like. take that. So this is the reason that you might leave some space at the beginning. You know you're all recorded here, right? This is all live. Streaming live to Facebook. No, we're not doing that. Okay, so I'm going to put a delay on that.
I hate those notifications.
Yeah, we gotta go say
Take me home.
Just space around.
Yeah, you're ready, man.
Trust me.
I see.
Still forgot it. It's called Angels.
To the beat. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, just bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out to the beat. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever.
Well, you play it from the very beginning. So
Let me just quickly automate that. So the automation thing we've done before, haven't we? You can do that with any of these controls. So I want to automate the feedback. So I'll put some points in. And that should...
You're gonna fake through the ditch.
To the beat.
Let's go more than that. If you get up to like 58, 59, that's where it starts to self-feed on that tape delay thing.
To the beat. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, just bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. See, I'll leave with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, just bringing me out the dark. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all. The scars of your love, they leave me breathless. I can't help feeling we could have had it all. In the deep, you have my heart and you played it to the beat. Baby, I have no story to be told, but I've heard one of you, and I'm gonna make your head burn. Think of me in the depths of your despair. Making home down there with mine, sure won't be shared. The scars of your love remind me of us. They keep me thinking that we almost had it all.